everybody, this is Oksana Rudko and my brand La Accessory. In this video lesson, I'm going to show you how to make this trend bag Tiffany, made of polypropylene cord 4 mm. According to the size, this bag is going to be on the upper edge 33 centimeters and 46 on the lower. The height here is 25 centimeters and the depth is also about 20 centimeters, and of course it also depends on your gauge. The size of the bag always depends on the gauge, and so I can't tell you what's going to be the size of your bag. So in this video lesson, I'll show you how we make the bottom, how we make the trimming for the bottom, make increases, how we make the sides for the bag, the handle, and how we attach the handle to the lobster clasps. How we adjust the flap. This is a leather flap, by the way, it's 18 to 20 centimeters. And how to insert such bag locks and accessories, what are the options you have, and how we measure the bag for the lining, how to make and sew in the lining. So that's how it's going to look on the other side, on the wrong side, and that's how we're going to attach our flap. That's how it looks on the side and the front part. So now I have filled it with something so that it has a nice shape. The bag, you will need 5 skeins of such PP macrame polypropylene cord. It has 4 mm without a filler. In my case, it's Shikimiki PP macrame medium. It has 82 meters in one skein. I will use a leather flap 20 to 18 centimeters, 2 lobster clasps, and a bag lock. Here I have a bag lock that has a magnetic button. Here you will make this bag and attach it on the other side of the flap with magnetic button, so that it will be able to close it with a magnetic button. I really like this bag, especially for this bag. I think it looks wonderful. And we'll use such lobster bag locks. They have big eye so that you can attach the handle. You can take even bigger openings. So for such bag lock, you will need a punch. You can use any punch, but it's important that you can make an opening in the flap so that you can then insert the bag lock. And you will also need such 2 rings, which will join the upper sides of the bag, and then you will attach the handle to it. You will also need some crocheting hooks. I'm going to use different. For the bottom, I will use 1 hooks, for the sides another, and to hide the free ends, the smaller one. In general, you need from 5 mm to 6.5 mm hooks. Also, you will need a pair of scissors, knitting markers, measuring tape for measuring the bag, for measuring the lining. Then you will need some textile for the lining. I cannot show it you now, I'll show it later. And then some equipment to insert the bag lock. That can be a punch, that can be a screwdriver, and then some pliers. So now we will start working. I'll show you how this cord looks close up. Look, it is not stretchy. It's rather thick and there is no filler inside, so the bag will have such nice glitter. So we start our work. I'll show it to you in every detail for the beginners, so that anyone can make this bag, even if you have never crocheted before, because I give the information only detailed. The bottom should be stiff, so I'm going to use the smaller crocheting hook that I have, number 5. So first stitch, we don't count it. it's the 0 loop. You crisscross the yarn like this so that the shorter end is on top, and you insert the hook from below upwards, you see, like this, and pull the long end into this loop. So that is your 0 stitch, you don't count it. Now we have to cast on 12 stitches, 12 chains, plus 1 for the lifting of the row. So we need to cast on 13. We hold like this, the thread. We insert crochet hook from below like this and pull the working thread. This cord is rather thick, so it's not easy to work with it. Here you have to pull it strong, but the result will fascinate you and the bag will look wonderful. So 1, 2, 3, more 1, 4. Remember that you work tight. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13. 13 is the lifting loop for the next row. So let's count again. We count these braids, these V shapes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So then we will make single crochets working back and forth 30 rows. So how do we make a single crochet? We skip one stitch, this one, where you can see the loop that is on the hook now, and insert it into the next one. Under the upper half loop. Here, this is the upper half loop. We pull the working thread so that now we have 2 loops on the hook. And so we make them 2 together. Again, single crochets we will repeat all the time for the bottom. Insert the hook under the upper half loop, pull the working thread. We now have 2 loops on the hook and work 2 together. Next stitch, and so on and so on. Chains work together. So you see, you will have 12 stitches, 12 single crochets. The next one. And so on, you go on working in the each next stitch, insert the hook, and so we go on till the end of this row. I show you in every detail. The first row I'll show you very detailed so that you can see. As this cord is rather thick, you can see these half loops are really nice. So we make single crochets till the end of the row. Here we have 2 loops. You see, this last knot we do not count because that's not the stitch. We count only those 2. So now I'll show you how to check whether you have counted right. Pull the working thread and so till the end. So now you have 12 single crochets. How to count? You can count these V shapes. You see here on top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is the 12th one. That's the one where you have this loop on the hook. And to make a chain, we always make a chain when we start a new row. If you are not working in spiral, of course, make a chain to start a new row. Just insert the hook, just like ordinary chain. And turn your work. Here we work back and forth. And now we work right to left. Here we will go on working with single crochets, but the second and all the rest will be worked not in one half loop, but under both half loops. So insert the hook here, under both half loops, pull the working thread, and make a stitch. I want to remind you that you have to work tight. Here you don't want to have openings. So here under the, again insert the hook and tighten. This loop on the hook, you don't make it loose, you try to make it as tight as you can. And the second one, which you pull now, you can make slightly longer, but not the one on the hook. Now we have 2 stitches left. Here you can easily make a stitch, but in the last one it's a bit hard. The last stitch between the first and the second is like this. It's diagonal. You can see exactly where it is, but you have to insert the hook right under this half loop, you see, and this one under both half loops. So here try not to miss it, not to miss the second half loop. So here it's better to make this loop a bit longer so that your work is like a rectangle, straight. Make a stitch and then again we have made the second row. Again make a chain and start a new row. So these are 2 rows ready. 1, 2. Turn your work. And so like this we need to make 30. I'll show you how to make the third one and then you'll work on your own. So the third row, as 2 previous ones, we skip the first and insert the hook under both half loops, make single crochets till the end of the row. 2. In each row you will have 12 single crochets. I haven't counted the second row, we'll check the third row and then you will work on your own. So, third row is ready. Now let's check the number of stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 stitches. So we have made 3 rows. Now we make a chain to start a new row as always. Make a chain to start a new row, turn the work, and on the 4th row you again make 12 single crochets and 30 rows in total, and then see you later. I finished the 30th row, last stitch here. Here, be careful when you make the last row, don't forget about this last stitch, don't make a mistake, don't skip it. Like this. So, bottom is ready. That is 30 rows. Now, you can easily count it because you see these lines 2 by 2. One pair, then the second pair, and so on. So let's count the rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So 30 rows are ready. Here we can cut the free end, leave a small free end, and cut it. So that is going to be the right side, where you can count it 2 by 2 is going to be your right side. You can see it easily. So this is going to be the right side, but frankly speaking, it's double-sided, so here you can choose any. The other side can also be right side, and this one can be wrong side, so here it doesn't matter in this pattern. Now I'll slightly hide this free end, and then we will just hide it when we make the trimming. I'll show you later how we do this. So now we'll start trimming at the bottom. For trimming, you can start anywhere. I usually start it somewhere closer to some corner. Here, for example. So how do we make the trimming? For the trimming, we are going to make stitches into these openings. You see here between each row, like this. You can easily see them. So here, let's choose some place. Let's say here, insert the hook, make a yarn over onto the hook, pull the thread. So, like this, we make one stitch into the loop. Then this free end we will work into the trimming so that it will be hidden at once. So you hold it along the edge, and so we make single crochets around the bottom. Next hook will be here into this opening. Pull the working thread and make a stitch, and so on. Make sure that this short end remains inside the seam. Insert the hook and then make a stitch, and so on. Here, be careful on the corner. We have one opening, and then we will make the opening on this side along this edge. So insert the hook here, make a stitch. Now under this loop here we will make an increase. On the corners we make increases to make them nice. Here we will make 2 single crochets into one opening, and that will be an increase. Here pull the thread nice, don't make it too small, and one more in the same opening so that we form a right corner, and we turn and start working along the other edge. Then go on working here under both half loops of this braid, just simple single crochets. So we move till this corner. On the corner we'll again make an increase. So here again on the corner we have to make an increase. Here we also have this free end. We will also work it into the trimming. 1 and 2. This free end also hold along the edge there on the wrong side. So we have turned and now we work along this edge. Like this. The same single crochets all along. Like on the other side, we insert the hook into these openings between the rows, into these openings. Then we'll make an increase on the corner and then we'll move on. So I have made it till the next corner. On the corner again, here into the first stitch of this side we make an increase. That's going to be the corner. Here we make 2 single crochets into one. Then these corners will look nice. Don't forget that these loops on the corners should be a bit looser so that it looks straight. And then we make till the next corner. Now next to the corner we make the last stitch on this side. Then under this stitch we make 2 single crochet, that is our increase. Two, and then work around this free end that we have here. You place it along the edge on the wrong side and go on working till the beginning here where we have started the trimming. And then I'll tell you how we start working the sides of a bag and how we go on working. So I have nearly finished the trimming. Here. And then the last stitch. Now pull the thread, cut the free end. And I'll show you how we can join so that it is seamless. Insert the hook into this horizontal braid, these two half loops. Insert the hook from the right side to the left like this, pull the working thread. So now we have to hide this free end to make the loop like these ones. So we'll insert the hook from the wrong side to the right side, first under this loop and then under those inside the braid. Pull the working thread and into the loop. Now, so our bottom is ready and it has the trimming. Now we can start making the sides of a bag. Before we make the sides, we can hide our free ends. We have already hidden some of them, and this one I have pulled through the loops. That's the place where we have finished. So after I have finished the trimming, I have pulled it like this. So now we have to sew them or to burn them with lightener and to glue it to the base because it's a polypropylene cord. I'm going to sew them. I'll show you how to make it. I cut the free end and then I take some thread in matching color. You can hide the knots, they will not be visible anyway. Here you have to make several stitches and that will do. And then cut the thread. You can even cut it like this, pull it through several stitches just to make it stay in place. And then just cut the thread without any knots at the end. Then I'll show you how we'll be sewing the lining into the bag, and so these three ends will not be visible anyway. Like this, several stitches here and there, and then cut the thread. So like this, we sew all the three ends to the base, to the bottom. So all the free ends. So here, sew all these free ends, and then I'll tell you what we do next. So I have sewn all the free ends, I have hidden them. Now we can start making the sides of the bag. So that's our right side, that's our wrong side. We put it like this, wrong side facing us. And first row we will be working into this half loop and a back half loop. You see those two. Now I'm going to work with hook number 5 millimeters, and we will make increases on the corners, of course. So take some knitting markers and put them into the corners. You have to mark these stitches where you are going to make these increases. Here on the corners we had 2 stitches, so you can make increase either in the first stitch of increase or in the second. Here it doesn't matter. Now you have marked it. Now you can mark the middle of this side. You can count, or you can use measuring tape, or you can just have a look like this where the middle is. So let's count. I'll show you how to count it. We count the rows, so we don't count the trimming. We had 30, so 15 will be 1/2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and this one will be 15. So this is going to be the middle of the bag. Here we will also make an increase, and 2 more increases we will make in the middle of this distance, here and here. So if here we had 15, we count 8 rows inside, that is 8 pairs, 15 rows. So between the 7th and the 8th row we put a marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Between 7 or 8, in any of them, 8 or 7. I'll put a marker here and here as well. 8. Those increases, even if you have some shift, the bag will not look like something is wrong. So here don't worry. So mark these corners. I usually mark here 2 stitches. You see the increase. I put a marker into the first stitch of an increase. Here. You can put it into this one or the one next to it. Here it doesn't matter. Just choose one and make it on all 4 corners the same. And here likewise. Here symmetrically put the markers into the same openings like on the other side. That are going to be our increases. And here as well. Here in the middle also we make an increase. So here you can divide it visually like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. And after the 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, after the 6 or into the 6th one, we'll make one more increase, and likewise on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into the 6th stitch. So now we have all the markers put and we can start making the sides of the bag. These increases we'll make only in the first row and then we'll just work in spiral. So let's take our working thread. We can start anyway. I'll start here closer to the corner. So we face the wrong side. I insert the hook from the right side like this, under the half loop and under this one back half loop. Yeah, pull the working thread and then hold this free end. I'll make it slightly longer. And so now we are going to work loose, not tight anymore. Again, insert it into the next one. Remember that this remains inside. We kind of work it inside and then we'll sew it like we did before. So we have 2 loops on the hook now. Then make a yarn over and pull the thread. Likewise, next one, make a loop and a single crochet. Then we see that next stitch has a marker. It means that we are going to make an increase. That will be 2 single crochets into 1. Turn your work again till the next marker, make single crochets. And at the next marker, make an increase. Remember that we work loose, here we don't work tight. Bottom we work tight, here not tight. Now next to the next marker, take off the marker so that it doesn't stand in a way here and make 2 single crochets into 1, an increase. 1 and 2. So we move till the next marker, make single crochets. Here we are going to have single crochets. We are going to work in a circle. Here we don't work back and forth. So here you can see it. I just want to remind the beginners. So here the single crochet will look a bit different because it is not a back and forth, it's in the circle, in the round. Next marker, take off the marker and make an increase 2 single crochets into 1. Turn your work and go on working till the next marker. All the same, single crochets. I'll make 1 more row together with you and then you will work on your own. Like this. You can see it close up. Next marker, again take off the marker and make 2 single crochets into 1 and increase. Again, marker, take it off and make an increase. Again, when you see marker, take it off, make an increase, 1, 2, and work till the next marker. So we go on working. Now take off the next marker and make an increase here on the corner. Turn your work like this and move along this side. When you work with such cord, it's a bit difficult, so you may get tired. It's okay, so rest and then continue. Then we will change the crocheting hook, take a slightly bigger one, and it will be easier to work. Take off the marker, the last one, and make an increase. And then again the next marker, again, make an increase. If you have noticed, I'm using the same color, but this one is from another shop, so it has a different color. I think that it will not be visible in a ready bag, so the bottom is going to be one color, sides another. I'm making this bag for myself. So you see, I bought one skein in one shop and it has one color, then I bought another skein in another shop in another time. You see, there is a difference in color, so you'd better buy it all at once. Here you have to be careful because sometimes you can hide this, like here for example. bottom and sides can be slightly different, but then I'll show you, you will see that it will not be visible in this case, in my bag, because the bottom will not be visible. But of course, if you make for order, don't do so. Don't use different hues of color. Color should be the same. So we move on till the next marker and do all the same. Just a bit more, one more increase. Take off the marker and make an increase. 2 into 1, 1 and 2. We go 1, here you see sometimes it's hard to pull it, but it will be easier, believe me. It's just sometimes difficult when you work on the trimming. So we have made it till the last marker, no, not the last, one before the last, and make an increase. 1, 1. And now, next marker, take it off and again make an increase. An increase. And that's it. All the increases are done. Now we work till the beginning here where we have started, and then I'll show you what we do next. So here we have done the last stitch, and then we're going to work in spiral. So we're not going to start each time a new row. We will just start the round and we will go on working in spiral on and on. So when you finish this row, you just insert the hook into the first stitch under both half loops here, the first braid, the first loop here, you see? There's a vertical one and then a horizontal. Under the horizontal you insert the hook, pull the working thread and make a single crochet out of these two. So that's it. We have started the second row. In the second row we are going to work in spiral and so on. I take another hook. I wanted to use number 6 millimeters before I use number 5. And now I'm going to work under both half loops here. Under each stitch we make single crochet, work loose, don't work tight here again. So you see here we are not going to make any increases, we just make single crochets. In the spiral, in the round, in each stitch make a single crochet. And so on. And so we need to make 24 rows. So the first row we have made with increases, and the second we start making without increases. Now we'll make it, and then I'll show you how you go on working. I'll show you how to make a transition from second to third, and so you will do on each row. Up to 24th row, you'll just make single crochets without increases, and I'll tell you what we do next. I'll show you how to insert the flap, how to adjust the handle, and so on. So work in the round till the end of this round. Now I have nearly finished this round. Second row is ready. I'll make one last stitch here. That's where the first and the second were joined. And here, to make it nice, you have to make just single crochet into this one, and then go on working. You just don't stop, you go on making single crochets in spiral. So here you will not be able to see where one row finished, the other started. You'll just go on working on and on. So now you make 24 stitches, and if you don't like the height of a bag, for example, you want to make it higher, or vice versa, you want to make it shorter, you can always make it as you like. So you can make 26 rows or 23 rows, make it more or less. Here it's up to you. So the height of a bag is as you like it. So here we already get the corners of the bag. So we move upwards 24 rows, and then I'll show you how we continue. So now I have made 24 rows in spiral, so that's sides of the bag. I have folded it like this inside. So 3 ends I haven't hidden yet, and I'll show you how we do this. And that's the leftovers of this skein of yarn. Almost 4 skeins are here in the sides, so you need about 4 skeins for the sides if you make 24 rows. Now we finish same place where you have started, so have a look where you have started the first row. Here I can see it, and then you go upwards, and more or less 1 or 2 stitches approximately you finish. So how do we finish the row? So you have pulled this loop, cut it in the middle, and now you need to make a false slip stitch. For this you insert the hook into one loop under this one, the next one, insert the hook from the wrong side to the right side, pull the working thread, and then you need to push this free end inside of this V shape. So insert the hook from the wrong side like this, upwards into the back half loop and into this one half loop, straight into the center. You can take a smaller hook, it will be easier to do this, and pull the free end like this. So we have finished the row. Then I'll show you how we make a handle, then I'll return and show you how we hide free ends, and then we'll sew in the flap and go on. So I'm going to use such lobster clasps. I have about 3 centimeters with a middle opening. You can use a bigger opening. The width of the handle can be absolutely any width. It depends how you want it to make, and it depends on the width of this eye on the lobster clasp. I'm going to make it bigger than the opening on the lobster clasp, but you can make it as wide as the lobster clasp if you have a bigger lobster clasp. than I have. So I am going to use number 6 crocheting hook and about 25 centimeters free end. We will need it. Later you can use even more to join the handle to the lobster clasp. So make a loop again. As I have shown you at the beginning, we put the short end on top, insert the hook and pull the working thread. That's our 0 stitch. Then we have to cast on. In this case, I want to cast on 8 stitches. I cast on 3, not tight. You can cast on more or less stitches, then your handle will be wider or narrower. So cast on 8 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we get such braid, and now we need to make it like this, right side facing you, join it into the circle, right side inside, and then under the first chain here, you see inside, under the first chain we insert the hook, hold this loop, pull the working thread, and pull it through the loop on the hook. We have made a joining slip stitch, and so we're going to work joining slip stitches. Under each half loop we will make a slip stitch. So look, we insert the hook into the next chain, pull the working thread and pull it at once through the loop on the hook. Work loose, you need a soft handle, you don't want it to be tight, otherwise it will be hard and it will not be comfy to wear the bag. And again, insert the hook and make a slip stitch. If you are beginners, here you have to look at the loop. You see each next loop and you work into each loop you see. This one, then you see next this one. When you get used, you will see them quickly. Maybe for the beginners it's a bit difficult to see where you have to make this stitch here. When you make several rounds, it will be easier, you will be able to see. You see, we go working in the spiral without joining the rounds. You can make the handle thicker, thinner, it depends on the number of the chains you have cast on at the beginning. Now I will try it onto the lobster clasps. Here is the end. I'll put a clasp like this. I think it will be okay. Yeah, I think perhaps I could make it wider, but I don't have the clasps with a wider eye, so I think that will do as well. And so we go on working in spiral, on and on. I think that length should be about 50 centimeters, but if you want to make it shorter or longer, it's up to you. You can make the handle as long as you like. I think I will make 30 and have a look whether the skein of the leftovers will be okay. You can make the handle even narrower. You will use less cord, of course. In this case, you will cast on not 8 but 7 chains and make it narrower. It will be about ½ centimeter narrower in this case. So here it's up to you. Here you can already see several centimeters of the handle. So go on working in spiral, making slip stitches into every next stitch. Under each half loop, make a slip stitch. So here it's really easy, just go on working slip stitches in the spiral. And one more thing, when you make such a handle, I recommend you to control the gauge, control how tight you work, because you have to work more or less the same. If you started working loose, then you go on working loose. If you work tight, then loose, then again tight, the handle will not be nice. It will be wider and thinner here and there. So I recommend you to control the gauge in this case. So make the length of the handle that you want. I'll make 30 centimeters and I'll try it onto the bag, I'll show you, and then we'll go on working. So I have already made last stitches. I'm making the last stitches. I have already made the length of the handle that I like. I stop at any place. I don't cut the thread for the time being because I'm going to try it on. About 45 centimeters, and will be lobster clasps, so it will be a bit longer, about 50 centimeters. Now here I will cut the working thread, about 25 centimeters left to adjust it to the lobster clasp. And so now I'll show you how we join the stitches, and we join the lobster clasp and the handle. So I'm going to use a smaller crochet hook, number 5 for example, or even smaller, and that's the place where we have finished. So I put lobster clasp, I'll just pull it through so that it looks better, just visually. And here you can also pull this like this, just to make it look nicer. You don't have to do this, just... so now I take the lobster clasp, insert it into the eye, like this, into the opening. Pierce through the handle, pierce it through to the other side, like this. And then you take this working thread, you see that the lobster clasp is already on the working thread, and you make like this. So one loop on the clasp is ready. Again, insert the working thread into the clasp. And pierce with crocheting hook into the next opening here, likewise. Grab the working thread. Then here, pull it like this, pierce from the other side. So you see we kind of sew the clasp into the handle. Here you don't have the loops where you insert, you just pierce it where you can. So you just look that those stitches are all along the perimeter, and as many loops as you have free space on this clasp, just try to make it the same on the right and on the left side. Here you tighten the thread. Make sure that you like how it looks. If it looks neat and nice, then it is okay. Although here I have a rather small eye on this clasp, so now we can hide this thread inside. Hide it inside the handle, and then we will carefully sew it. For now, let's leave it as it is and move to the other side. Here, likewise, attach one more lobster clasp. And by the way, this first knot you can undo, then it will look better. It will not harm anything, just undo this, it will look neater. And we will move left to right, now all the same. Insert the clasp here, pierce with the hook, pierce it through, pull the working thread, and again insert the thread into the opening. Tighten it from time to time, and so you move from left side to the right side, making this seam through the lobster clasp. Well, look like this. Make sure that a clasp is symmetrical in the middle of the handle, not shifted to one of the side. I'll try to hide the free end and have a look whether it is okay or not. If it looks okay, well, I think yes. If I stretch it slightly like this, then looks absolutely fine. So here I will hide this free end inside and also sew it. I'll take some matching thread and needle and sew it first like this without cutting the thread. I'll just pierce it through inside like this. I have the thread in matching color, so I just fix it like this. You see, I don't make a knot, just fix it in place, that will do. Make 4 to 5 stitches, that will do, and then you can cut it. Cut the cord and then fix it nicely. I'll show you a close-up. Close, cut the cord, and I prefer to sew it exactly here where I have cut, just to make sure, make several more stitches, then I can guarantee that it will remain there. Well, I think that will do. I can cut the thread. On this side it's sewn. Cut the thread, also carefully here. And likewise on the other side, sew the other free end here. Here you can do it likewise on the other side, and we'll move to the next stage. So our handle is ready, and now we will measure it together with the clasps. Its length is up to you. You remember, you can make it longer or shorter. If you make it to order, then you can ask what should be the length. I have 55 centimeters, no, 54.5 together with the clasps. And also you can stretch it a bit, but just a little bit. I'll put it inside, measuring tape also, and we'll return to our bag, to the sides of the bag. And now we will be sewing in the flap. So to sew in the flap, we need to put the rings, the clasp rings, here, and to fold it inside like it is going to be, to give its peculiar shape, because the shape that we give to the bag will be, now I'll show you. So here we have this bag and we have to fold it inside. So how to find the place where we fold it? I prefer and always recommend you to fold it as deep as you can, like this, because this part is the side of the bag. If you look at the bottom, it's here, side of the bottom. So we fold it inside, it was like this, and then you fold it like this. And here you have to match these markers. Take your clasp and put it so that it's more or less symmetrical on both sides, on front and the back side. So here you have to find the same place on all the sides, on this side and on that side. So here perhaps I will count 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I will insert the clasp. Then here, starting from this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, here I have put a marker. Here also make a crease and count 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you have marked it with the marker, you take a ring and insert it, pierce it through. You open the ring, pierce it under both half loops, here where the markers are. Insert it like this. This cord is very strong, so don't worry, you will not break it with a ring. It's absolutely okay, even if you pierce it only through the upper row. It will be in place. Do not take off the markers. I'll tell you later why we will have to take the rings off when we make the lining. So leave it as it is now. But when you sew the flap, you will have to join this like I do now, because we need to see how it's going to look when it is finished. So here likewise I have counted 4 stitches from each crease. So you have folded it in the middle. First fold it like this, make sure that the side of the bottom is okay. And now these folds, you count 4 stitches on all the sides. And leave the markers. This bag I was working loose, so now it is soft. Here we have this distance between the rings. So we take our flap, we fold it like it is going to be. Put it into the center. You can shift it to left and right. Here you can see that more or less it should be from one ring to the other, and in any case it should have the same amount of stitches from each ring. Here you don't have to be very precise, but more or less in the center. So you put it like this, you hold it. I like it this way. If the bag is too soft, you can put something inside like towel or something soft. And so you can check. So you see I have put a towel inside. Now the bag has its shape as if something is put inside. And now you can put a flap. Prepare a small crocheting hook so that you can fix the flap in place. Also, here we have the right side. Choose any side that you like better. One of them will be the right side. We're working in spiral, so here it doesn't matter really. I usually choose the right side. I choose the one which I don't know which is better, where you have not made the joining of the rows. Where the joining of the rows, it will be the wrong side. So this is going to be my right side, and I'll put it like this. Make the flap as long as you like, shorter or longer. I prefer somehow like this. I turn it to the other side and make sure that maybe here you can stretch it and have a look how it will look when you hold it at the hand. Here also several stitches. Well, it looks like it is okay. Now you can choose the place where the first stitch is going to be. You put the flap along one of the lines, this one for example, between the 4th and 5th rows here. Or between the 3rd and 4th. Yeah, I think between the 3rd and 4th will be better. Like this. So I have fixed it in place, and then you have several options of sewing the flap. I'll try to show you my favorite. with the crocheting hook and with slip stitches. If it will be too difficult, you can use a darning needle. So I take hook number 4.5. I'll try to use this one. I have already taken the towel off. Now it will be easier without it. Put the skein with the cord inside. I have some leftovers, but not much, so I have to be thrifty. So remember the opening where you have to start here. It's going to be the first. Here you can hold it with your finger. Take it off, take the one that you're going to use, insert it into the opening of the flap and insert it into the opening on the bag. On this side, you grab the working thread like this. And we have to pull this loop. Here the openings are not big, that's why here for me it will be a bit difficult to pull it through the opening, but it's okay. Then insert the hook into the next opening. So we follow the same line. Here it doesn't have to be into each opening, you can skip. Just make sure that the flap will be in the middle, so it will be symmetrical according to our markers, according to the circles, to the rings. Here I had 3 stitches till the marker. So I'll make a seam and then I'll check whether it is symmetrical. I pull the working thread like this into the next opening. And now we join it with a slip stitch, one loop pull into the other. And so like this we will move forwards. I will try to use a smaller hook, maybe it will be easier. Yeah, that's better. This cord is a bit too thick for the openings, but the crocheting hook is okay. So tighten it here to make sure it goes tight. And so we move on. Insert the hook into the next opening here and the matching opening on the base. So like this we sew the flap to the back. Here check whether it is symmetrical, whether it is okay, like this. If it goes like this, then it will be, yeah, for the time being I see that it is okay. It has not shifted, so I can go on working like this. And we go on working till the end of the openings. Pull this thread nicely so that they don't create the wave. If you make it tight, then you will get a wave here. You don't want it. You make them loose enough, but not too loose at the same time. Now I have almost finished sewing the flap. Check whether it is symmetrical. Yeah, I see that. I'll turn it to the right side and make sure I don't cut the working thread. I will give it a try, whether the flap is in the middle, whether it is symmetrical on both sides. Let's have a look. Like this, here and there. Yeah, I think it's okay, so I can cut the thread and go on. So I'll pull this loop, make it longer, and then cut the thread in half, like this. I'll take off these leftovers. Here it will be a bit difficult because we have to hide. Now I'll show you a close-up. Look, we have to pierce with a hook from the inside, outside, pull this working thread and pull it to the inside of the bag. Here it's a bit difficult, but you can make it. Now you can take a bigger hook, it will be easier. Here our flap is sewn. Flap is sewn in place. So here we have to fix the threads, these ends. We hide them behind the stitches on the wrong side. And then sew as I have sewn. It's a polypropylene cord, so you can just burn it with a lightener, but I think that well, I prefer sewing to burning. I think that it is more safe. So I'll pull it through several stitches along the row and then sew it. And likewise on this side, I'll pull it through several stitches, and then at this stage you can already start sewing all the free ends that you have inside the bag in the same way, if you haven't done this before. I'll show you how we insert a bag lock, and then we'll have only to make the lining and that will be ready. Okay, I have fixed the free ends. I'll show you how I insert the bag lock and then I'll sew all the free ends. So our bag lock contains of such parts. I have already disassembled it. So, but before this, I want to show you some more bag locks which are very popular and which you can buy absolutely anywhere. I just want to show you the principle, how we insert it and what we do. So in this case, we insert the upper part. So now let me show you. Here is the upper part. I don't want to take the film off. The upper part is placed here onto the flap. And also you center it, make sure it's in the center, and then you take small nails that you have in the kit together with this bag lock, and with the help of a screwdriver we just screw it in place. That's it. The lower part has such nails which you can open and just insert it into the bag where you need it. You need to try the flap where you want to make this lock. It's really easy, and these bags, the bag locks, are really popular, so I think I better show you. Now, the bag lock that I'm going to use, this one is a magnetic button. So upper part of this lock here will be inserted onto the flap. To insert it onto the flap, we have to make the openings here. So we need a punch. We need to measure exactly the middle, and then we need to measure approximately the openings for these nails. I'm going to use a punch like this. I don't know whether, yeah, here it is, it's alligator, something like this. It's a rather expensive one, but it has very high quality and it's really easy to work with it. So I put the flap on the table, find the middle. I have flap 20 centimeters, so I measure it, yeah, 20 centimeters. And we find the middle, that is going to be 10 centimeters here. Exactly 10 centimeters. I mark it here carefully. As I'm going to have two openings, as backlog is going to be here, I don't worry about the pencil, it will not be visible. So we need to place these two openings on both sides of this mark, 10 centimeters, like this. I try it on, and when I see that, yeah, it's okay, it will be okay, it's the right place, I can press it hard like this a bit, and you can see the marks. You see, I have pressed the lock, and now I see the traces on the leather, which I will use to make the smallest here, the smallest in the sponge, and I will put it like this, and be careful with it. And make an opening one. Won't come off. Yep. And the second. You can also take some hook and open the hole. There are just leftovers of leather. And the next one. And open it like this with a hook. And then you take this bag lock and insert it here. You see, they match because I have marked it. Like this. Now you take the nails, and by the means of a screwdriver, here you see I have a magnet already on the base, on this round base. Put it here so that it's matching. I have already prepared the nails, and then carefully with a screwdriver screw it into place. And insert it into the opening like this one. And the other one. Make sure it's in place, yeah. Okay, the upper part is ready and put in place like this. Now we have to insert the lower button. To insert this lower button, we need first to find the place, put it there on the upper part. And then again, you have to find the center where you want it to be, how you want this flap to lie on the bag, and pierce it through like this, hold it and open it so that the lower part, let me show you, it's a bit difficult to show it on the camera. So I see where I have to put this lower button, like this, hold it in place and pierce with the nails through the back. Here it's difficult to insert it because we have a very thick cord and we need to try and press this small pallet. Press it really hard so that you can twist the nails inside. And then with pliers, try as you can to fix this one nail and the other. You pull it and turn it inside. And the second one, likewise. And here also press it hard. Fold the nails so that they hold it in place. And that's it, our bag lock is in place. I will fill it with some towel again to make sure it will be able to be opened and closed. So I have also joined the handle. It's almost ready now. Now I will take these markers off, and I will also take, I'll take the lobster clasps off, and I'll take this rings off. I will not take the markers off. Before this, before we make the lining, we need to sew all the free ends. Sew it or burn it with lightener. Okay, and now I'll be sewing the free ends. And when you have already sewn all the free ends, the last thing we have to do is to make the lining. So I'll show you how we make the measurement for the lining. Take off the lobster clasps, take off the rings, take measuring tape and measure it all along the perimeter. Start somewhere, remember where you have started. And then, okay, I'll start with this marker, and then from the inside, pressing it hard to the bag, following this parallel line, parallel to the upper edge, and make the right measurement. You press it tight, stretch the measuring tape because you need precise measurement here. You don't want to have lining smaller than the bag. like this, measure the circumference of the bag inside. Here, for example, I have 120 centimeters. So, take some paper and pen. So, the circumference will be like this. I will have one big cut of fabric and its width is going to be this. We take 120, that is the circumference that we get, 120. But we need to get the width, that is 1/2. So I divide 120 by 2 and it will be 60 centimeters. But we will need to make seam allowances on both sides. I add 1.5 centimeter. That will be plus 3 centimeters. So the width of the fabric will be 63 centimeters. And now the height. The height is going to be the depth of our bag, or the height of the bag, together with the bottom. So I take a measuring tape and start measuring here. I prefer to measure it in the middle, and then you go down all along the bottom and then go up, also carefully measure it, press it to the bag like this, and then the height will be 67 centimeters. I'm going to sew the lining a bit lower than the upper edge. So it will be 67 centimeters. And we have to add 3 centimeters for the seam allowance, so it will be 70 centimeters. The height of this piece will be 70 centimeters. So my piece will be 63 to 70 centimeters. If you, for example, don't have enough piece of fabric, you can use 2 pieces, which will have a seam here. So you can use 2 pieces, you divide the height, this 67, divide by 2 and add 3 centimeters to each piece of this fabric. So you can make one piece and then another piece and make a seam in the center. Here it will be 33, and here, for example, it will be 67 divided by 2, that will be 38.5 plus 3, it will be 41.5 centimeter each. So that's it. Make these pieces of fabric, the one that you can, with 1 piece or with 2 pieces, and I'll show you how you make the seams for the lining. So I have already cut the piece of fabric for my bag. Here I have such a piece. I now will have to fold it. First turn it inside out. Here it's the right side. And the first thing that you do is that along the width, along this smaller part, we fold like this about 1.5 centimeter that we have added for the seam allowance, and we fix it with the sewing pins. Here we will make a seam. And so we go on along this side and the other one. So we have fixed it on both sides, and now we will make seams here and there on 2 tops of the lining. Make a seam here and there. You can do this with a sewing machine or by hand. If you have a tag, you can now attach it, a label or a tag in the middle of one of these sides. You can put it like this and also make a seam. I fold it like this usually and make a seam. When you have made a seam, I'll show you how to go one. So you have made a seam here on top, and you have made a seam for the label on this side as well. And now with these two seams we fold it right side to right side. On this side I have already pinned it, also pin it with the other side to make a side seam and make a seam. Remember about seam allowance that we were making. If, for example, you make the lining not out of one piece like I do now, but out of two, then you have to make an additional seam here on the bottom. I don't do this because I have one whole sheet of piece of fabric. And now when you have pinned it all in place, you make a seam along two sides of the lining, here and on the other side. If you have this cut, you also make a seam in the bottom. When you have made those seams, I'll show you how to sew it into the bag. So when you have made the seams here on this side, on the side and on the other side, I don't have a seam on the bottom. So the last thing will be to make the corners. You have to open the corners like this. If you hold your lining like this, these sides up, right? Then you need to form the corner. To make the bottom for the lining, you open the corner of the lining like this so that the seam is straight in the middle. Fold it like this. Make a triangle out of it. I'll show you on the other side where I haven't pinned it yet. One I have already pinned in place. So you open the corner like this. See, this seam is in the middle. Make the triangle. It has the same sides. This right and left are the same. And measure the width of the bottom. As the width of my bottom is approximate, I measure that 18 centimeters will be okay. So I put it here, measure 18 centimeters. You see, from the left side to the right side, it's 18 centimeters. You can make a line with a pencil or with a chalk and then pin it in place and sew in place. I will insert the pins at once. Here, be careful, don't prick your fingers. And like this, we pin it in place and then make a seam on both sides. And when you make these 2 seams for the corners, you will form the bottom of the lining. So make a seam and then I'll show you how to sew it into the bag, my method. This method is seamless and very handy. So my lining is ready, and that's the way the corners look inside. They form this bottom. You see on the other side you can see the corners, and here you can see these rectangles. Lining is so big, so yeah, you see, like this. Insert it into the bag, and I'll show you how I sew the lining into the bag. So we take our bag and put the lining inside. I prefer to put this tag first on the back side of the bag. For such a big lining, we'll also need sewing pins to put it in place to make sure that it is absolutely okay. Here I will skip about like this, and I will sew it at this level. So pin it in place with sewing needles. Here first in the center. And then you go all around and pin it in place from time to time, here and there. So try to spread it homogeneously so that you don't make the waves and follow one row. When you have reached this transition, because we're working in spiral, so here you have to shift it a bit also. And so you go on working like this, pinning it into place. So when you have pinned it in place, make sure that it looks okay and makes no waves, no creases, and now you can start sewing it into the bag. Now I'll show you the seam that I usually use. I use, of course, some thread in matching color, and I start sewing also here in the middle on the back side, here where the tag is. Then the tag will be very nice and straight. So I take off the first needle and fix the thread somewhere there under the lining on the base of the bag. You can make a knot or just through the loop like I do, like this. I'll make one stitch up because I'm going to sew it a bit higher. So you need to pierce this place on the fabric right into the top of the crease here. Right into the top of this crease. And 6 to 7 millimeters, move it to the left. And then pierce it through the bag. Here, pay attention that here you have to insert it into the same place, approximately the same place where you were piercing from the other side, so that it's seamless. Although I have thread in matching color, try to make it as seamless as you can. And then on the other side, you pierce it again several centimeters or several millimeters, 5 to 7 millimeters to the left, a bit more. And so like this you move all along the perimeter, make a stitch, pierce into the crease, and then pierce it through. So here take your time, don't hurry, and sew in the lining all along. And meet you at the end of this sewing. And then when the bag will be ready, I'll show you how to assemble it back again. So our lining is sewn into the back. You can see how nice and neat it looks. Here is a place where I have finished. To finish this sewing, you just make several stitches back and forth there through the cord. Make no knots, just pierce it here and there through the cord and cut it, and that will do. It will remain in place. You don't have to make any special knots that will be visible. So on this side you see it's absolutely seamless as well. I think that this method of sewing the lining is perfect for the knitted bag. So now we have to assemble it back. We take the rings and lobster clasps with a handle. Fold it like I have told you, like this, so that the markers are matching one and the other. Insert the circle, pierce it through this fabric. Here you can control the amount, how much you want to fold. I prefer to fold more. You can fold it less. It's absolutely up to you. Try several options and do as you like better, because it's your bag, it's your design. Like this. I have this ring which has 25 millimeters in diameter, or 2.5 centimeters. For such a bag, that's enough. So on this side, likewise, if you prefer bigger rings and clasps, you can use bigger ones, of course. It can be like kind of decor accessory for the bag. So we have inserted the rings, so we have taken off the markers. Now we have only to insert lobster clasps. like this. Attach the handle, try the lock, make sure that everything works. Okay, and let's have a look at our finished work. That's our Tiffany bag, ready and perfect on all the sides. It's empty, that's why it's soft. You see, it can be folded. It doesn't keep its shape as if you put something inside. This bag has a really cool, trendy color, and the bag lock suits perfectly. The bottom, by the way, which has a different color, it's absolutely okay in this bag, I think, because it's invisible here. And it has the same color of the flap, so maybe it was meant to be so. So, of course, if you make it for order, try to make it the same color and make sure that your skeins have the same number, the same hue of color. So, thank you for watching this video tutorial. I'm very happy that you make crochet bags according to it. I hope that it was helpful and you have created your own perfect Tiffany bag. So I wish you much joy and good luck. See you. Bye.